can't write this report. I thought that by being sheltered in place, I was gonna get inspired. I've been here for 2 weeks already. You know, this flattening the curve thing, I don't know, man. The flattening the curve, more like this curve is not flattening. In fact, it's getting curvier. Well, see, the report I have to write is today. I have to write this report to the bishop. He wants to know a little bit more about this mysterious image of Christ that came into my possession. But I'm just not feeling inspired right now. I know that, I'm very big on the title of a homily or the opening lines of a discourse, but I just can't get inspired. It must be this shelter in place, this lockout or lockdown or whatever it's called, yeah? I'm already tired of it. So I have a few lines that hopefully will be the best lines that I can possibly come up with. And then I'll do the report after that. How about this? I know I got it. I'm going to start by saying it was the best of times. It was the worst of times. Oh, no, wait, I think Charles Dickens or somebody, I already wrote that. I know, I got it. I went to the woods because I wish to live. No, that's Walden Pond, I think. Call me no, that's Moby Dick. Call me Mariel, like Ishmael, get it? Nah, sorry. Corny joke. Somewhere in the land of La Mancha. No, that's Don Quixote. Okay, I think the easiest thing to do is just let the bishop know, as I will let you know this evening, how I came to own this mysterious image of Christ. Let me tell you this story of my broken Christ. Why this Christ is so special, so significant, and how it changed my life. And I pray that tonight it can change your life as well. I found my broken Christ in Mexico City. See, when it comes to art and collections, I am deeply drawn to the theme of Christ, specifically Christ crucified. My particular preference usually is drawn towards, my passion, if you will, are the Spanish Baroque crucifixes. You've seen those, very graphic and very detailed. Well, the day I found my Christ, I wasn't looking for Christ. How ironic. I was accompanying a good friend of mine who for a while now was searching for a good image of Christ. Or rather, like all of us, he wasn't so much searching for an image of Christ, but rather he was searching for Christ. It wasn't a Thursday. Our plan was to go to this outdoor market of sorts. Some of you may be familiar with San Angel in the southern part of Mexico City. And that market only opens on Thursdays. So that morning we decided, let's go to that open market on Thursday. I bought Christ on Thursday. And did you know that Judas sold them on Thursday? I think that's rather peculiar. And why an outdoor market, you might ask? Well, see, Jesus, he's all over the place. What can I say? What a popular choice he is. You can find them in the midst of old and rusted buckets buckets of nails, nuts, and screws. Or you can find them mixed in a pile of second-hand clothes and name-brand shoes. You can find them strewn with vinyl records and torn dolls. You can find the sacred image of the Holy Son of God juxtaposed with a profane and tantalizing cover of a vintage Harlequin novel. You remember those Harlequin novels, don't you? Jesus and Fabio sharing the same table of second-hand Kishi Americana. See, the key of finding Jesus is knowing how to look for him, because if we truly open our eyes, Jesus, the Christ, is always in and around and about and within this mixed and scrambled and unbelievable market that we call life. Our plan, as I mentioned, was to go to that colorful Thursday market, that outdoor market, to look there for Christ. However, as we were going, my friend decides to tell me that he was short on time. I was looking forward to spending the whole day in that market. But since my friend was short on time that day, well, we didn't really have much time to look for Christ. So we decided to skip the market, and we went straight to this bohemian neighborhood known in English as Artists Row, La Calle del Artista. It is easier to find Christ there. But of course, it's a lot more expensive since the area is filled with antique dealers and art restoration shops. And because of this, the Christ that you find there, and you're guaranteed to find the image of Christ there, but the Christ that you find there comes with a hefty luxury tax added on. It is the Christ whose price tourists and collectors have driven up. Ever since tourism has intensified in quaint neighborhoods, of course, I'm talking about 5 years ago. Right now, everything is empty because of this pandemic. But ever since tourism has intensified in quaint neighborhoods, such as these, the one that we went to, the price of Christ has gone way up, intensified. So, we had visited about 2 or 3 stores, all of them filled with saints in all sizes, styles, and origins, saints in final liquidation, sainthood for sale, la santidad puesta en venta. Never before had business been so lucrative with the sale of saints. People buy them in wholesale, not exactly for their holiness, more for their, shall we say, exotic and artistic beauty. Because, you see, statues of saints, everyone knows this, well, they add a certain flair to any home decor. Oh, and let's not even mention the uprise in angelic decor, even in the secular sector. You've seen them, chubby cherubs. I always mispronounce the CHs and the SHs. Chubby cherubs with a mischievous look have become quite fashionable these days. That is a mouthful. Let's all say that at home. Chubby cherubs with a mischievous look, there you go, have become quite fashionable these days. Poor angels. We have brought them down from the glorious dignity of serving at the throne of God to the humiliating task of adorning a shower curtain or holding a light fixture. At a friend's house, I even saw the toilet paper embossed with angels. Of course, this is before the toilet paper scare or toilet paper depletion in the stores. So we were browsing around the third or fourth store, looking around, when I heard from behind me, "Father," I was wearing my collar. "Father, may I help you find something in particular?" "Oh, no, that's very kind of you. I'm just walking around the store for now. I'm just browsing." So, all of a sudden, right in front of me, and abandoned, thrown amidst the other antiques, laying flat on a table, I saw him. A crucifix. A crucifix, but without a cross. Normally, a crucifix, by definition, is the cross with the corpus of the Lord. And I knew it was a crucifix because of how his one hand was extended. It was just the corpus of the Lord. He looked so lonely. He looked so rejected, in so much pain. The words of the prophet Isaiah quickly came to mind. He had no majestic bearing to catch our eye, no beauty to draw us to him. He was spurned and avoided by men, a man of suffering, knowing pain, like one from whom you turn your face, spurned, and we held them in no esteem. I instinctively felt the urge to reach out and grab him. So drawn to him was I, but I managed to stop my impulses. I did not want for the antique dealer to see how interested and drawn I was to this image. So I contemplated my Lord from the corner of my eye. He had conquered me. From the instant I saw him, he had conquered my heart from the first instant. Of course, I'll be honest with you, it wasn't exactly what I was looking for. It was Christ, but broken. But it was exactly this specific condition which bound me to him. I don't know why, but I felt bound to him. I pretended, listen to this. Here I'm saying I was bound and I was attracted to this image, and yet I pretended to be interested in some of the other artifacts that were around me. I didn't want the art dealer to see how interested I was because of the price, right? So I pretend to be interested and walk around until finally, gently, my hands were holding this broken Christ. I controlled my fingers to keep them from caressing him. No, my eyes had not deceived me. It must have been a beautiful crucifix. It was now an impressive, mutilated remnant. To begin with, he had no cross. He was missing half a leg, a full arm. And although his head was still intact. He had no face. However, in what was left of that mutilated body, there was such perfect artistic proportions, such perfect anatomy, such slenderness in form, in torso, such harmony and balance in its elaboration, so much artistic balance and beauty, that in that moment I decided that it had to be mine. I lifted my gaze looking for the dealer, who was in fact gazing attentively at me. He had been watching me this whole time, waiting to make eye contact with me. So from where I was standing with Christ in my hands and adopting an attitude of absolute indifference, I asked them, "And this? And this?" Well, come on, you can't blame me. I thought perhaps by asking in this manner, I would manage to get a better price. But as you can tell, I was wrong. That's not what happened at all. You see, the antique dealer approached. He took the broken image in his hands and, "Oh, Father, look, it is a magnificent piece. I can see you have very good and exquisite taste." Well, I knew that, but come on. You're just trying to sell me that. Father, look, Father, have you noticed its splendid form? Notice the fine craftsmanship? Yes, but it's so broken. It's so mutilated. It doesn't matter, Father. You know, around the corner, there's a restoration artist. And he's an expert, and he's a friend of mine. He can leave it like new. If you go visit him, tell him I have sent you. The dealer returned to his praises of the image. He would gently and with exaggerated devotion caress it with his hands. It was all exaggerated devotion. Because he was not caressing Christ. No, he was caressing the merchandise that would soon turn into dollars. I insisted. He persisted. He sighed. He paused. He took one final look at Christ, pretending that it was painful to be separated from him. And in a staged impulse of fictitious generosity, with a similar fictitious pain and resignation, he said to me, "Here, Father, take it. Only because it's you. And believe me, I'm not even making a profit on this. You can have it for $1,000. Believe me, you are purchasing a treasure." I froze, stunned, with my hands extended, hoping to purchase the Christ. But when he told me, I left my hands extended in midair, unable to grab my Christ. In my mind, he was already mine. And so I say, $1,000? But this is Mexico, supposed to be in pesos. Yes, but the economy, that's outrageous. That's too expensive. And so, pretending to be interested in some an interesting object in front of me, I turned my back on the dealer. But in a true sense, I turned my back on Christ. And the dealer insisted. Too expensive, you say, Father? Do you have any idea what you're taking? Naturally, I said, look, without even turning, it's too expensive. And in that manner, with my back to him, the dealer, to Christ, the dealer and I began to haggle over the price. We began to haggle over the price of Christ, the seller exalting its qualities to maintain the ridiculously high asking price. Me, a priest, I'm always trying to look for a good bargain, highlighting its damaged and broken state in order to bring down the price. And then I suddenly shook, shivers running down my spine as I realized what we were doing. We were haggling over the price of Christ. And remember what I said about Thursday. I remember Judas. Wasn't this also a buying and selling of Christ? What Judas did, wasn't that also a buying and selling of Christ? Undoubtedly, the antique dealer, like Judas, wanted more. And the Jewish priests, like me, offered him a lot less. But in reality, how many times we buy and sell Christ, not of wood or stone, but of flesh and blood, in our neighbor, in our brother. Our lives have often become a buying and selling of Christ. At the end, what always comes at the end of a haggle, we both gave in, just as in Judas and the Jewish priests. We agreed on a price. The antique dealer, with keen business calculation, had purposely asked for a significantly high price, so as to still make a decent profit in the anticipated, inevitable haggling process. While I, on the other hand, I managed to decrease the price of Christ quite significantly. I decreased Christ. How backwards the words of the Baptist. It is necessary that he decrease so that I may increase. The dealer and the player won. But the one who lost, as was in the case of Judas, as is always the case, was Christ. And talk about a decrease, or depreciation, not appreciate it, depreciation, because from $1,000, I was able to purchase him for $200. Isaiah says, and he, though harshly treated, he submitted and did not open his mouth. like a lamb led to the slaughter, or a sheep silent before shearers, he did not open his mouth. Before leaving the store, I asked the antique dealer if he knew where the crucifix came from and the reasons for such horrible mutilations. And so in vague and incomplete references, he said that he believed that it came from somewhere in central Mexico, and that the damage and mutilations were probably the result of the profanation and desecration of a church during the anti-Catholic Calles persecution in Mexico in the 20s or 30s. The art restorer shop, which the antique dealer had recommended, was just around the corner. My friend had to leave to a prior engagement, so I decided to have a look. So I wrapped my crucifix and I went over to the art restorer expert. I showed him the crucifix. And once again, inevitably, we spoke about money. How much would you charge me to fix and restore Christ? The restoration artist took the broken image in his hands. Examining it in silence, he turned it over 1,001 times, and he goes, "Well, Father, it's so damaged, but I can repair it for you for only $150. "Oh no," I said, that's way too much. "Well, Father, it is a lot of work. A lot of painstaking detail. Look, it's going to take me 3 days to restore it." I smiled at the irony. Restore it in 3 days? Rebuild it in 3 days? Sounds familiar. So I said I would think it over. So, lovingly, I clutched my Christ. Close to my chest. Yes, my Christ. Because he was now my damaged and mutilated Christ, my broken Christ, mi Cristo Roto. And I began walking through the streets, and I deliberately, slowly, and contemplatively made my way home. So the hours passed, and finally, late at night, I closed my bedroom door. I felt him I felt he was beckoning me. I still had him wrapped. And so, with the skill of a doctor, uncovering a wound, I removed the wrapping. And I found myself face to face with my Christ. Such bloody and mutilated flesh. He had no majestic bearing, says Isaiah, to catch our eye, no beauty to draw us to him. He was spurned and avoided by men, a man of suffering, knowing pain like one from whom you turn your face, spurned, and we held him in no esteem. Seeing him in such a state, I built up the courage to ask him, Lord, who was he that dared to do this to you? Did his hands tremble when he violently pulled yours off the cross? Did he feel nothing when he tore out your face? Did he? Is he still alive today? Where? Did he repent? I wonder what he would say or do if he saw you in my hands. Be quiet, said a firm and cutting voice. Be quiet. You ask too many questions. How quick of you, man, to judge the sins of others. Or do you think my heart is petty and mean like yours? Be quiet. Neither ask me nor think anymore about the one who mutilated my face or my body. Leave him alone. What do you know? Respect him. I already forgave him. I instantly and forever forgot his sins. When someone repents, I forgive at once, not little by little as you all do. I am slow to anger and rich in compassion. So be quiet. But actually now it is my turn to ask you questions. Tell me, I want to know, why is it that as you contemplate my broken body and think of the one who did this to me, it does not occur to you to think of those who offend, hurt, exploit, and mutilate their brothers, their sisters, their fellow men. Tell me, which is the greatest sin? To maim and mutilate an image made of wood or stone? Or to maim and mutilate a living image of flesh and blood, created in my image and likeness, in whose heart beats my heart through the grace of their baptism? Oh, you hypocrites. You rend your garments as you ponder on the one who mutilated my wooden image, yet you extend your hand and pay tribute to the one who morally and physically mutilates the living Christ, their own brothers and sisters. I answered, yes, Lord, but it's just that I can't see you like this. So shattered. Look, even if the restoration artist charges me whatever he wants, you deserve the very best. So, first thing tomorrow morning, I will take you to his shop. It hurts so much to see you like this. I'll do it tomorrow. He'll restore you. You're gonna be awesome. Right, Lord? Right? You approve of my plan? Right? You like this? No. I don't like it. I don't like it at all, said Christ in a dry and severe tone. You are just like the rest. Besides, you talk too much. Yeah, my parishioners, they've told me that. I nervously, joking, interjected, so as to ease the tension, but I'm not good with jokes. There was a silent and uncomfortable pause. Then came a direct order from him, sharp and cutting as a lightning bolt. That order came to break that uncomfortable, anguishing silence. He said to me, "Do not fix me. Do not restore me. I forbid it." Do you understand me? Yes, Lord. I promise. I will not restore you. Thank you, responded Christ. His softer tone gave me confidence once more. But I was still curious. I didn't understand why. So, tell me, Lord, why don't you want me to fix you? I don't understand you. Can't you see that for me, it will be an ongoing pain every time I see your mutilated face? Can't you understand that it hurts me so deeply? That's exactly what I want. That when you see me broken, that you remember so many of your brothers and sisters who live among you broken, crushed, poor, maimed, and mutilated. Without arms because they have not been able to find employment. Without feet, well, because others have closed all avenues to them. Without a face, because others have trampled on their dignity. Everyone forgets them, and they turn their backs to them. So don't restore me, don't fix me, so that hopefully when you see me, you remember them, and you begin to hurt for them. In this way, seeing me like this, it will serve as a constant reminder of the pain and hurt of others. my Lord continued. He said, many Christians, they focus so much on devotions and candles and flowers and kisses over beautiful and gilded images of Christ, yet they rarely forget the ugly and suffering Christ, the broken and mutilated Christ, the Christ in their brothers and sisters. There are too many Christians who ease their conscience by kissing a beautiful image of Christ, a beautiful work of art, while at the same time slapping and offending the smaller Christ of flesh and blood. The smaller Christ, their brother, their sister. You know, those kisses are repugnant to me. They disgust me. I am forced to tolerate them upon my feet carved in stone, but they pierce and grieve my heart. You have way too many beautiful crucifixes, too many artistic works of my crucified image. And the danger, you run the danger of being stuck in the work of art. A beautiful Christ can be a dangerous refuge where you can hide as you flee from the pain of others. I repeat it. A beautiful image of Christ can be a dangerous refuge where you go and hide as you flee from the pain of others, while at the same time easing your conscience in a false Christianity. That's why you should all have more broken Christ, one at the entrance to every church, one that would loudly cry out through its broken body and anguished face the pain and tragedy of my second passion. Yes, my second passion, the one I live daily in my brothers and sisters. That's why I beg you, don't restore me. Leave me as I am, broken, but next to you. Even if it brings a bit more pain into your life. Yes, Lord. I promise, I answered. And the kiss over his only pierced foot was a seal of my promise to him. From this day forward, I will live with a broken Christ. The same day I purchased my Christ, I asked the antique dealer where the right hand could be. Oh, he said, it would be impossible to find it, Father. And we already went through the whole warehouse where we found the mutilated image mixed in the middle of mostly useless artifacts. We did find, however, the left leg, and we reattached it. But as far as the right arm, there is no trace of it. Lord, the antique dealer did not know where your right hand was. But you know where it's at. You are removing it from the cross, and you're using it continuously It is always up and about. It doesn't surprise me that you don't have it. It's here and there and everywhere. Invisible, but quite effective. Who hasn't felt from time to time the sweet caress of the wounded hand of Christ? That invisible hand which, without knowing, enters into every place. His right hand is there. It's there by the hospital bed, at the office, at work, at the factory, at school, at the theater, at the birth of a baby, even at the hour of death. It sneaks on tiptoe to become a luminous and musical burst of love. We simply can't take a step through life without stumbling with the ever busy right hand of God. But you, oh broken Christ of mine, you only have a left hand. And I could almost hear Christ saying to me, "That's very good, what you have said. But that wasn't quite exactly what I wanted to teach you with my missing and severed right hand. See, I wanted you to draw another conclusion. Look, Lord, on that first day, I wanted to restore you. But it was you who refused. You went against it. You did not let me. Don't be stubborn. What need do I have for an arm made of wood and plaster? I need a living hand, a living arm of flesh and blood. I am in need of hands and arms. Let's see, Padre, wouldn't you want to be my hand and arm in the midst of your brothers and sisters? Will you be my hand when you help someone not to fall into sin? Will you be my hand when instead of striking and injuring, you comfort and encourage? Will you be my hand when you help the blind man cross the street, when you heal, when you comfort, when you help others feel relief from their cross by carrying it yourself for a while? All of you, the baptized, are members of my same mystical body, a body that is offered as a living sacrifice, holy and pleasing to God. Wouldn't you want to be my right hand today? I'll be honest, I was mystified by such an unexpected invitation. Me, the hand of Christ? How? You wanted a professional to restore me by adding a piece of wood and plaster to me? Don't you want to be that restoration artist? Adding your hand to a mutilated man who has no arms, who has no hands? Wouldn't you like to play such a noble role by being throughout your life, amidst the ones who surround you, the right hand of Christ? That way, every time you see me in this one-armed image, you will hear me say, "Can you give me a hand, please?" Didn't I ask all of you go and make disciples of all nations? I stayed silent. I couldn't respond to his requests. I understood what he was asking of me. It was noble. It was exhilarating, but at the same time, profoundly disturbing and terrifying. After a brief silent pause and seeing my terrified expression, I could sense a gentle smile on his faceless head as he continued. How little and poorly you know me. What would become of you men if I did not have a left hand? Oh, I have it. But not to defend myself against Pilate or to avoid being crucified, but rather to prevent my Father from justly condemning you. I don't use my left hand to save myself from the cross, but to save you all from hell. Do you understand me now? Yes, Lord. I think I do. Well then, please teach this lesson to others, to my brothers and your brothers, to my sisters and your sisters. Yes, Lord, I promise I will do that. I will teach them. And so, as I promised my Lord to give you a teaching on what I understood to be these two hands of Christ, and so, but not as eloquent as my Lord from the pulpit of the cross, this is the lesson of the hands of God, and in particular, his left hand. You see, all of the tragic and divine adventures of life consist in letting ourselves be guided by the hands of God. Yeah, by both. However, there is something in each one of us, a difficult, dangerous, elusive element known as freedom. And God, He mysteriously and infinitely respects it. So, to win us over, God avails Himself of His two hands, the right and the left, which in fact represent two methods, two techniques, if you will. See, the right hand is clear and open, transparent, bright and luminous. On the other hand, pun intended, you see, I can make a joke. Not very funny, I know. On the other hand, the left one, it seeks shortcuts. It goes around on the periphery, saca la vuelta. It's calculating, it's diplomatic, it's in no hurry. If necessary, it acts at a distance and changes its voice. And even though it's left, it is neither sinister, Machiavellian, or treacherous. Because after all, it is guided by love. So, for each soul, God has two hands. One, but rather He uses them in different ways because each soul is different. For example, with His right hand, like peaceful, white doves or docile sheep, God guided John the Evangelist. Francis of Assisi, John of the Cross, both Teresa and Therese, John Paul II, and Mother Teresa. However, to conquer Paul, Mary Magdalene, Peter, Ignatius of Loyola, perhaps you and me, God had to use his left hand. If before the gentle right hand of God we rebel, then the left hand has to come into play. It seeks a disguise and turns into something unexpected. In Peter, a cock that crows, bringing bitter tears of repentance. In Paul, a flashing lightning that blinds him and knocks him down. In Ignatius, a cannonball that shatters his leg. And in us, it appears as an unexpected tragedy. Or an illness, or pain, or as a sudden onslaught of a pandemic that leads to a so-called shelter in place, which leads to the unexpected ripping from our lives of the sacred that we have neglected for so long. The left hand of God tries to be that brake that brings us to a stop. It desires to lift us out of the mud into which we have fallen. It pierces the heart, and through that wound that He has made in our hearts, when it pierces the heart, it enters it. To see if from within manages to soften our hearts and to make us see reason, to make us understand. And even now, the resources of the left hand, they're quite infinite. Today, it uses modern and updated disguises. It truly is up with the times. So, let us see a few examples. In the last flood, I lost my home. I lost everything. I can't seem to find work. No one wants to hire me. I'm desperate. I have an accident at work. I was careless. My leg got caught in the machinery. They're gonna have to amputate it. I just found out. My husband, he has been unfaithful. After so many years, my marriage has ended. My marriage has ended. My best friend in whom I trusted so much, he has betrayed me. I have terminal cancer. I don't want to die. This isn't fair. Why me? Why me, Lord? Why me? I'm a good person. I don't want to die. I don't want to die. My wife and I were arguing in the car. My 5-year-old son was in the back seat. I was angry. I was driving 90, 100 miles an hour, and then an 18-wheeler came out of nowhere. It was so sudden. My wife and my son both died. It was my fault. It was my fault. I killed them. I killed them. Now I am all alone in life. I have no one. I am a grieving mother. My son, my only son, my joy, my pride has died. He was everything to me. I just don't know how I'm going to be able to live without him. I can't handle so much pain. They have killed my son. They killed him right in front of me. Cowards! Murderers! I hate you all! I will avenge him. Mark my words. I will avenge him. You see, my brothers and sisters, in that first encounter with the left hand of God, when it acts, it bursts violently into our existence. Unexpectedly, relentlessly, because of this unexpected encounter, our first reaction is a cry of both rebellion and desperation. So, in that moment, we forget the flood. We forget the cancer, the betrayal, the infidelity. We forget the murderer or the untimely death, because we conclude, illogically though it may be, that those things, at the end of everything, are not at fault. And because this pain is so terrible and profound, we conclude it cannot possibly come from mere created beings. No. So therefore, we conclude that ultimately God is the one responsible for this pain. And so logically to us, we confront God. We face him. We come face to face with him. And we yell at him. We scream at him. We protest against him. We demand answers from him. We challenge him. We condemn him. And we cry, Father! 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 You're not my father. If you were my father, you would not treat me like this. You're not my father. And we scream, and we cry again. We protest. We rebel. And then we're left feeling all alone. And the silence engulfs us. And the first tears began to flow. Yes, I know, nervous and burning tears. And in that moment, even without even realizing it, the first seeds of prayer come as well. With phrases such as, Father, let your will be done. Let your will be done? Are you crazy? An angry part of us protests. And so once again, we protest against them. We protest against our first prayer, and we feel tired. But our tears are more peaceful now, and we follow that cycle back and forth. And so then we begin to pray again. But this time, without protesting. At least not much. And now, there's a warmth in us. Now, we feel, I don't know, the need to be embraced We feel the need to embrace someone. We feel the need to connect with something of the divine. We feel the need to kiss the divine something. But what can I kiss? I have this need to kiss. Oh, yes. 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 We found it. Yes. A crucifix. And with a kiss, we tell God that we accept whatever His will allows, that we are okay. Oh, terrible, violent, harsh, and unrelenting, but blessed left hand of God. And then we begin to utter phrases that in the moment sound illogical and absurd. Things like, God knows why He allowed these things. God has a plan in all of this. God can make all things work for good. And we say things like, blessed be the storm that flooded my home and took all my material possessions, but brought me closer to God. I had been so far from Him. Blessed cancer that allowed me to see how much I am in need of God. Blessed death of my son, my sweet, sweet angel. He's watching over me from heaven now. Blessed betrayal, blessed infidelity, which shattered my pride, but revealed to me the unconditional love of God. Blessed be the misfortune that fell upon me. Thanks to that misfortune, it brought me closer to God. You know, it had been so long. I had been so far from Him. I was a prodigal son. And thanks to that misfortune, I have returned home. Updated? Yes. Blessed be this coronavirus. Blessed be the fact that I cannot come to church anymore or celebrate the sacraments with my loved ones, with my beloved community. I had never experienced before so much hunger for God as I do now, for His Word, for the Eucharist. You know, I had taken my faith, I had taken God and my faith for granted. So say it with me, there wherever you're watching. Oh, broken Christ of mine, I say this to you in my name and in the name of all those watching this and hearing this. Because from this point on, we all have the courage to ask this of you, Lord. And it's going to be difficult, but I'm trusting in you, Lord. Because I know that when I say this to you, then I began to experience suffering and pain. But let me say it, Lord. Lord, if the tenderness of your right hand is not enough to save us, unnail your left one. Detach it from the cross. Disguise it of whatever you like. Failure, rejection, slander, ruin, poverty, accident, or death. Oh Christ, may we learn to place ourselves in your hands. May we be sons and daughters of your hands, both your right and of your left. My friend, hanging over your bed or resting on your nightstand, you have an image of Christ nailed to the cross. Tonight, before you go to bed, won't you kiss his left hand? God will surely reward this great act of courage and Christian resignation. Where is it? ¿Dónde está? Where is it? I can't seem to find it. Where is it? St. Anthony, please look around. Something has been lost and can be found. Where could it be? I think I'm gonna place an ad in the San Benito News. Yeah, I got it now. I know. No, San Benito News, I think they're going out of business. I don't know. So I think I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to appeal to my parishioners. So, my friends, I ask forgiveness first for my imprudence. Perhaps this is not the right time or the place to ask for favors. I know that y'all being sheltered in place has gotten you on edge, but taking advantage that you are all watching attentively because lockdown, sheltered in place, and also because this is Good Friday, and I'm sure you're feeling generous, I'm hoping you can help me with the following. I would like to make an announcement of sorts, a commercial, if you will. Now, don't worry, I'm not going to ask you for money. Although, please send your donations or do online giving. But the announcement is this. Attention, a cross is missing. I can't find it. A cross has been lost. It's the cross that belongs to my broken Christ. Have any of you found the cross? You want me to describe it? Okay. The cross, its size, well, it's not that big, but it is a cross, and there are no small crosses. Besides, it's a cross for my Christ, so therefore there really is no way to measure it. These descriptions suffice because at the end, all crosses are both unique and the same. Please forgive my persistence. Who of you watching right now, who of us has never found the cross? Or rather, who of us does not have a cross? Because having a cross is pretty much a non-renounceable property right. We pretty much exercise that right 24/7, right? I mean, we all carry this cross. We all carry it. We carry it over us, on our backs, on our shoulder. Even though it can't be seen, even though we are smiling, we all have one. We're all carrying one right now. Right now, I'm carrying one. You there at home, you're carrying a cross. In fact, many times, because it is hidden, it feels heavier. Tonight, when we go to bed, we won't be able to remove it and hang it in our closet as we do our coat. It will go to bed with us. It will lean against our pillow. And at times, our cross will wake us up in the middle of the night in deep anguish. Sometimes our cross will manifest itself as a sleepless and restless night. Upon waking up, it won't be necessary to put it on. No, we will jump out of bed already dressed in it. When we get to work, we will park our cars. How I wish we could park our cross also, even if it was just for a few hours. Impossible. So, who has found a cross? Well, all of us, the healthy and the infirm. The cross doesn't even stay away from those who try to challenge or hide their pain with laughter and parties and spending. That poor woman, her face overly done in makeup, who sits at the board waiting, or perhaps walking up and down and up again that strategic street and corner waiting for her client. Well, she carries such a heavy and dreadful cross. It's so heavy that she now leans against a lamppost. That cross is heavier than you and I can imagine. And then that man who approaches her seeking pleasure, he does it to escape another cross that he carries. So they talk, they haggle, they make promises, they come to an agreement, and there they go to the dark and lonely street, both carrying their cross, their own cross. And when they return, when they have tried to quench their thirst for happiness, they feel disappointment. The weight of their cross has increased. It's heavier now. In her, disgust and debasement. In him, desolation and despair. Every city, in short, is a forest, a jungle, a hive of crosses. And do you know, my friend, why at times the cross seems so unbearable? Do you know why it can turn into despair and anguish and even death? Why is it so unbearable? I'll tell you why. Because our cross is a lonely cross. It is a cross without Christ. We are carrying a very heavy cross, but Christ is not on it. The cross is only bearable when Christ is on it, because his yoke is easy and his burden light. See, an empty, ordinary cross without the blood or the love of God, well, it's an absurd cross. It doesn't make sense. That's why I have an idea. I have a Christ here without a cross. You have perhaps a cross without Christ. Both are incomplete. My Christ cannot rest because he needs his cross. You cannot endure your cross because you are in need of Christ. So, why don't you give your cross to Christ tonight? You have a lonely, empty, cold, dark, and senseless cross. I get it. That type of suffering is irrational. And frankly, I can't understand how you have been able to live like that. Well, you have the solution in your hands. Give me your cross. I gave you in exchange my cross, my Christ. I'll give you in exchange my Christ without rest, with no cross. Take him. Take him. He is yours. Give him your cross. Take my Christ so he can help you carry it. Talk to him and listen to him, because he says, if any one of you wishes to be my disciple, let him deny himself, take up his cross, and follow me. Take your cross. Take my Christ. Put them together. Nail them together. Your cross and my Christ. Embrace them both, and you will see that everything will be made new. My broken Christ. My broken Christ is now resting on your cross. Your cross with my Christ on it now feels gentler, softer. My friends, we have found, remember the ad I placed at the beginning? Well, we have found what we were missing. We found our missing cross, and it is our cross, which also happens to be the cross of Christ. Embrace the cross. The cross of Jesus. have no anxiety at all. But in everything, by prayer and petition, with thanksgiving, make your requests known to God. Then the peace of God that surpasses all understanding will guard your hearts and minds in Christ Jesus. Philippians chapter 4, verses 6 and 7. Lord, I have often heard this threat coming from lips filled with hate and rage. People saying, I'm gonna rip your face off your head. And I thought it was comical. I always thought that it always ended in a punch or a slap or on the face or a knife even making a cut on the cheek. Except in you, Lord, this brutal threat has become a reality, has literally been carried out. Someone has ripped out your face with one fierce hack. My broken Christ with no face, no lips, no eyes. I know it's only an image. I know it's a symbol of our faith, but nonetheless, it is no less painful. We're going back to the beginning. I still cannot get over it. I still cannot accept it. It is no less painful to have an image of Christ at my side and without a face. That's why the constant temptation to restore his face, to fix him once again. Oh, come on, don't look at me like that, as if I derive some sort of wicked, morbid pleasure at seeing him like that. I don't. Why haven't I done it? You know, it's not that I'm enjoying seeing him like this. Why haven't I done it? Well, you know why I haven't done it? You know why? I could have done it. I was about to restore him. I could have restored him. I was willing to pay any price for the restoration. You heard me a while back. You heard me, right? But he forbade me to do it. That's why my consolation now is to play. It's very embarrassing, actually. But I'm gonna confide in you, because he doesn't want me to restore him. He wants me to see him like that, especially his face. I play this imaginary game, a game of fantasy and love, where, here he goes. Please don't mock me. Where I ideally, in my imagination, restore his face. Where I place upon his faceless head where I place upon his faceless head the faces that the world's greatest painters and sculptors and artisans have dreamed up for my Lord. In this game of mine, I bring to mind the images of Christ from valuable cathedrals, from museums, all the valuable collections from galleries. All of these famous images, they parade across his empty face, at least in my mind, in my imagination. See, his face is like a canvas to me. And so I feel like Raphael, painting the Transfiguration. I feel like Michelangelo, painting the Lord with that fiercely but beautiful gaze in the Last Judgment. Or I feel like Salvador Dali in his image of the crucifixion. Or Da Vinci. See, not all artists have dared to paint the face of Christ. It's a frightening commitment to come face to face with the face of Christ, to look at him in the eye, to reproduce every emotion, every nuance. In order to paint the face of Christ, besides needing artistic technique, it requires love as well. How difficult it must have been for those artists to paint the face of God. But even more difficult, how difficult it is to see the face of God. However, a few days ago, I also had to give up the comfort of this game. My broken Christ, he is unyielding in his demands. He offers no truce, and he has prohibited me from doing this too. At the beginning, I thought he liked it. At least he seemed to tolerate it in silence. Until one day, as I was placing these faces on his face, this what I thought beautiful and artistic faces on him, he interrupted me rather severely. Enough! Don't place any more faces on me. I have tolerated your little petty game for far too long. I was waiting in silence, hoping that you would realize that I wasn't pleased with what you thought was redress and comfort to me. But I can see that it's useless. You still don't understand me. Do not put those faces on me. Those faces which, like a beggar or a thief, you steal from the art of man. I want to be like this. I want to stay like this, broken, faceless. You promised me that you would never restore me. And yes, Lord, I continue to promise. I know. Come on. I'm sorry. I continue to promise it. But Lord, I answered the Lord with confusion and sincerity. Lord, I just thought that this game of the faces was not actually restoring you. It was just imagination. Come on. True. You don't restore my face, but deep down, you seek to escape the anguish which my broken face has produced in you. Tell me, are you seeking my consolation or yours? Lord, it's just that it hurts me to see you like this. Christ insisted. Oh, it grieves you to see me as I am. So in your imagination, you create beautiful but deceitful faces which you overlay between your eyes and broken and mutilated face. See, you haven't fully accepted the truth and the reality of my passion. You prefer the lies of your fantasies. And each of those faces is a cover, a disguise over my pain and sorrow. Accept me like this, broken, without a face. I'm gonna pout. It's not fair, Lord. I want to accept you. You know that, Lord. But I don't know how. Please, please, help me. We both stayed silent. I could not even dare to look at him. And the Lord knew how I was feeling. He always does, doesn't he? So then he knew that I was feeling anguish, and he knew that I meant well. So Christ, in a sweeter and inviting tone, continued. He said, well, unless you want to play another game, place on me other faces. Those I will accept. Which ones, Lord? I quickly replied, I will place them on you at once. Tell me, Lord, which faces? And I will place them on you, whatever you want, Lord. I will place them on you. No, I don't think you will. I know you. Why not? I insisted, fully committed and eager to please him. Tell me, Lord. Tell me now. Which are the faces that you want? I'll do it. I am afraid you won't understand it. You might even be scandalized. Me? Yeah, like the Pharisees. Because, see, I am referring to other faces. Real faces. Not the fake ones that you borrowed from the art of men. Those are already mine. Yeah, they're my faces. They're from the art of man. I created man. I have too many of those faces. I think I got it, Lord. Yeah, it's obvious. Yeah, you don't want those faces from artists. It's obvious that you are referring to the faces of the martyrs, of the saints, of the apostles, of virgins and martyrs, which of course they're yours because they're owners. The saints, the martyrs, the virgins, the apostles, by participating in your holiness, are at the end just like you. You see, I'm smart. You see how you're still not getting it? My Christ said, while sadly smiling. He said, those faces, they're mine. Yeah, they're mine already. Nobody denies them to me. But I want other types of faces. I demand those faces. And very few people would dare to place them on me. I will. I'll do it. Tell me which ones. I replied impulsively. All right, said Christ in a calm voice. You are the one asking for this. Just don't complain afterwards. He took a deep pause as if to gather strength. He took a deep breath. I was scared. I was terrified. But there was no way out of it anymore. I had pushed him to this moment. Then he said to me, listen, do you happen to have a picture of your enemy? Yeah. You know, that one that is jealous of you and will never leave you alone, making your life difficult? Yeah. Or of the one who always misinterprets every one of your actions, the one who is always talking bad about you. Yeah, the one that ruined you, the one who betrayed you at work, the one who lied to your supervisors about you and stole that promotion that was meant for you, the one who got you fired. Yeah, that one. The one who falsely accused you. The one who put you in jail. Lord, no. Please stop. It's too much, right? Isn't it? Lord, it's inhumane. It's illogical. It's absurd. Well, I'm not done yet, he said. Have you noticed the face of the lepers? The face of the mentally ill? Of that dirty beggar on the street? Of the one with palsy, the drooling and the lame, the criminally insane? Come on. Are you telling me, Christ, that those faces are yours? That you want me to put them on you? No. That's impossible. Hold on, he said. I'm not done yet. Not yet, there's more. Take accurate and detailed note of this final list. And don't forget any of the following faces. You must place on me the faces of the blasphemer, of the degenerate, yes, of the thief, of the drunkard, of the assassin, of the traitor, of the lustful, of the pornographer, of the prostitute, and of the pimp. Yes, and of everyone steeped in their vices. No, Lord, I'm sorry. No, I don't understand why. All of those miserable and corrupt faces over your sacred and divine countenance. No. Yes, he said, that's exactly what I want. Exactly how I want it. Can't you see that all of them, they belong to this poor, miserable, and hurting humanity. The humanity, that one created in love by my Father, they all belong to it. Don't you realize I have given my life for each of them? Perhaps now you might understand what redemption really means. Listen to this lesson. As the Son of God, I voluntarily became responsible for the errors of all humanity. On that cross, every sin was weighing heavy upon me. My Father who loves me, I'm His beloved, and from His throne in heaven, He looked out towards earth to see me, His Son on the cross. As a father, He wanted to see His face reflected on mine. He fixed His gaze upon my face, and in that instant, His anguish and astonishment was infinite, because upon my face, He did not see His beloved Son. No, He saw instead one after the other in such dizzying array. He saw the faces of every human being. From His place in heaven, during those 3 terrible hours of my agony on the cross, my Father contemplated the tragic parade of a beaten and debilitated humanity, while I, with all my strength, for all of you, for you, I cried out to Him, Father, forgive them. Forgive them, for they know not what they do. They know not what they do, Father. It wasn't just me who was dying on that cross. It was thousands and thousands and thousands of hurting, sinful human beings. Many enslaved and beaten by their own passions, vices, errors, and sins. Oh, God. The procession of faces over my face was terrible, repugnant, and gross. My Father saw overlaid on my face the face of the prideful, the face of the liar, the cheater, the atheist. He saw the face of the cold-blooded murderer plotting his next crime. There were repugnant lips, sunken, soulless eyes filled with the fire of lust, horrifying, unbearable breaths reeking of alcohol, vomit, pale, empty faces, zombie-like addicts wandering through the streets, sordid expressions of bitterness and despair, disturbing glances of lust and perversion. My Father, He saw every infernal abnormality, every unspeakable, dark, and disturbing action that injustice would have condemned all to hell. He saw in my face all the defeat and scour of an unredeemed humanity, the agony and death. And for an infinite second, when I was on that cross, I was longing to contemplate the face of my Father. But when he saw me, I felt as if he had turned away. I felt the consequence of every sin ever committed. No, my Father did not abandon me. My Father did not turn his face, even though it was painful for him. But I felt that consequence of sin. I felt separated from my Father, abandoned. So I said, I cried, Father, my Father, why have you abandoned? Why have you abandoned me? And my Father who did not abandon me, my Father God loved all of these faces. He loved them. He loved them all and forgave all their sins. I gave my face for all of them. And my Father, He reconciled Himself through me with all humanity. Father, my sweet Father, I'm your beloved Son. Father, I'm tired. Father, I've done your will on earth. I have come to do your will, and I have accomplished it. You and I'm coming home. Father, my Father, into your hands. Oh God, my Father, my God, I love you, my Father. I'm coming home, Father. Into your hands I commend my spirit. And in that moment, my Christ fell silent. How impoverished and ridiculous seemed now the art of man. And how profound and unfathomable God's love. And from that point on, my Christ never spoke again. Consummatum est. It is finished. May we never forget this supreme and difficult lesson. May we never forget the smooth countenance of my broken Christ. Imagine it as an empty picture frame, if you will. We are given on the face of Christ the opportunity to place on it the face of that one, or of those who have caused us harm, or of the one for whom we have a deep hatred. But in fact, we end up hurting ourselves more than the one that we resent. Yes, let us be bold. Let us be courageous. Let us be brave. Let us bring to mind the face of the one that produces in us the greatest hate, resentment, hurt, disgust, or antipathy. Let's bring that face close to Christ, even as our hands begin to shake. Let us imagine placing that face now, the face of our enemy, on the faceless head of Christ. And let us imagine that our Christ has that face now. Yes, that face of our enemy. And that our enemy, yes, our enemy, that being who we hate so much, who has hurt us so much, has taken the place of Christ on the cross. Let us close our eyes now. And now approach that crucifix. That crucifix with the face of your enemy. Approach it. Closing your eyes and reverently kiss his humble image. When we kiss the image of Christ with the face of our enemy, a warm, sweet, and melodious voice will speak to our hearts. That same voice that many centuries ago left us the most wonderful, the greatest gift any human being could ever desire. That gift contained in 8 simple words. Love one another. As I have loved you. Love one another. As I have loved you.